gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a very special guest, His Excellency Mehmet Kasapoğlu, the Youth and Sports Minister for the Republic of Turkey, who is with us today. Put your hands together for His Excellency. Thank you so much for coming today. And this next session is about the world of sports. And before we do anything, let's pay tribute and offer our condolences on behalf of the World Tourism Forum Institute and everyone gathered today to the legend that still is Maradona, who died on Wednesday at the age of 60. May you rest in peace. Now, Turkey's sports sector, like the tourism sector, is doing exceptionally well. And today, we're going to bring both these sectors together with a very special project that His Excellency is going to announce for the first time. The session will be moderated by Bulut Baji, Chairman of the World Tourism Forum Institute. So once again, we welcome His Excellency Mehmet Kasapoğlu, Youth and Sports Minister for the Republic of Turkey. The floor is yours. Gentlemen, please.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, dear distinguished guests, first of all, from floors I could get the simultaneous, and before us I think we had a very distinguished guest lost simultaneous, and our speech is going to be in Turkish. First of all, to our very dear minister, I would like to thank for participating. And my dear minister, it's been really hard situation. It's been a really hard period. And my job is tourism, actually. For me, it's very hard. But in sport, it must be even 3 times harder. And you're living it by yourselves. You know, the exhibitions are to be played or not, or the buildings or the projects to be done or not, to taking steps. First of all, hopefully this pandemic will end as soon as possible and we will keep living our lives again as a tourism person. My dear minister, before, as you know, we had so many important ministers, but this is my very first time that I'm hosting a minister. Turkey, as you know, it's a tourism of sea, beach. As you know, it's very important factor in the world. When you go to Antalya, you say sun, beach, and when you come to Istanbul, you say culture. As you know, we have so many guests from Pakistan, and the first thing they ask when they get here, they ask that could we go to Hagia Sophia? And when we say culture, there's a whole new geographic. But I wonder that since you are in that position, since you came into that position, what kind of steps did you take? It's not only sport or tourism. When we look at the total, what comes up? First of all, thank you so much for this very lovely conference and summit, especially during these days. Our hopes to be alive and in these difficult times, turning these hard situations to opportunity. We have to work even harder, and in that extent, the global tourism situation and problem is showing a big factor. And as you know, I want to thank the ones who contributed. As you mentioned, during pandemic, it's really struck hard, very efficiently, and it keeps hitting the world, especially in many sectors. Tourism is one of them, obviously, but ranging from education to transportation, from sports to arts exhibitions, it struck every sector. And what we hope, what we expect this period to be done for humanity, and hopefully it will bring us to safe, and this is what we hope, this is what we pray for. And of course, for us, for the sectors who were affected, especially sport, is really hitting very, very big, because sports, the biggest factor of it is human, as you know. As long as the human is there and the physical effort is there, the sport is also there. And because of that, sports activities, both in local and both national levels, it's really important. And we always say that during these difficult times, they will of course have some impacts. They come with their own impacts, and they end with their effects. But what we aim since the beginning of it, to tackle these very difficult situations, both with our sport and both with our investments in facilities, in planning, we will turn this into an opportunity. And with that effort, with that belief, we work. And hopefully as a country, in every sector, in every field, when this very difficult time is done, as we call new normal begins, I hope and believe that our country will get its own very different and very new location. And of course, sport is very important perception actually, and in terms of interaction, it's a global power. And because of that, of our country, the opportunities that we have, and with these opportunities, the potential that our country has, it's an unbelievable young population that we have. It's one of the most in Turkey, as you know. And with that, the facilities, there is a basic facilitation, and in tourism pillar, the point that we reached, both with our facilities, both with our service qualities, as you know, this service quality and facilities are the factors that our country has the biggest competitiveness. I want to interrupt you, Mr. Minister. Can we say that Turkey is in the sixth of in the tourism? In coming days, in sooner or now, as our facilities, qualities, and the things that we live here, because I know that what we see behind sport in Turkey is actually very first time, and it came out with your own vision. And in the coming days, and sooner, and very soon, Turkey in sport tourism, can we say that the Turkey is going to be third or in fifth? Can we talk about these numbers? Of course, we should talk about it actually. In any subject, we do not just ignore it, and we don't have any chance to put our statement in a very low level, because as a country, as a location, and as an environment, we have unbelievable richness. We have winter on one side, and we have spring and fall on other side, and we have summer on one side. Every richness in the history is divided into four in our country. And I stated before, our facilities and the people who are capable of, like, the qualities of people, because facility is not enough with itself, because in many countries we see that there are many hotels that build it really perfectly. But when you look at the human resources, in order this thesis or facility to be constructed or run, there is no organizational scheme, and they are lacking of it actually. And I thank the God, in that pillar our country is very rich. Everyone who is working in that sector, actually, they're representing our country very well, and their duty, whatever their duty is, ranging from secretary, manager to personal, each and every one of them efforts is really important. And in that extent, in the tourism pillar, I will get to sport. It's our biggest opportunity and advantage actually. And of course, sun, beach, sea, culture, history, tourism, and we have to say that sports. And in that point, one of the biggest advantage of ours, and hopefully it will be put into effect very strongly. And as you know, development plan now is included also for sport, as our presidency governmental system is one of the most important works that we put, because for us, both in facilities, when you go to Erzurum, when you go to Trabzon, when you go to Izmir, you could go Manisa, you could go Antalya, let's say you could go to Edirne, you could go to Diyarbakir, you could go to Hakkari, you could go to Ağrı, you could go to Kars. There is unbelievable establishment actually in 18 years with the envision and vision of our president, and it's happened thankfully. And of course it was really a piece of art, and we have to take this into next level with sport tourism. And as you mentioned, is Turkey going to be third or fifth? With these goals and aims, we have to put this and we have to walk towards. We have effort, we have opportunity, we have to just use it. What we say in sports in Turkey, in that extent, as presidency governmental system, it's a really powerful and strong coordination, we could say, and interinstitutions, and hopefully we brought this into that level. And when you go to Ağrı, let's say, as province in Turkey, you could just climb mountains. And when you go to Kaş, there are lots of richness in terms of sea. And when you go to Erzurum, you could go and ski, and there are lots of opportunities. 3 weeks ago in Samsun, for instance, and 2 weeks ago we had rafting in Şırnak. There are lots of opportunities and chances and richness. We have to utilize it, and we have to introduce this richness to the world. We have communication, and we have opportunities. We are also strong in that extent, and hopefully we have to make our aims and goals bigger. And as a country, as Turkey, with its distinct provinces, tourism to be branded to Turkey has to be destination for sport and tourism. We have such goal, and we have to take it to the next level, because I see that excitement also in that session, let's say, in that summit. It's very meaningful for us. For instance, that speech, and previous year without ambassadors, we had meetings about sport tourism. We shared our frames with them, and they were really excited, and we will make it even bigger, that vision. And hopefully I believe that in sport tourism, which already exists, this perception will be even stronger, let's say. And as I mentioned, we have environment, we have climate, we have establishments, and as very warm Turkish people, there is hospitality. No power, you cannot get this with no power or no money actually. This is something, as he mentioned, it's a heritage, it's a very strong heritage, and no one could get this heritage very easily in that geography, in that very prideful and people, and with that soul, with that power. I believe that sport tourism and the other sectors in tourism, other brands of tourism, is going to be also very successful as a country, because despite the pandemic, our facilities and establishments are still ongoing. As I always say, Turkey for organizations is not a country which demands. I was just going to ask that, Mr. Minister. 2 weeks ago, I think, I don't remember, we had Formula 1 races, and last night, and we took this organization to some level, and I wanted to have some rest. And when I was checking on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Formula 1 commercial about Turkey. As a tourism person, obviously, I was really proudful, because these were broadcasted in everywhere in the world. Like, Turkey could host such organizations, as I know. I think there was UEFA Super Cup organization, Champions League final, final is going to take place in next year's May. And if I want to summarize it, it's also tourism. And what is our vision right here? What's minister's vision? What do we aim actually? What are we going to see from now on in 2021? What projects do we have? Well, Mr. Bulut, especially in sport tourism point, in that pillar, our vision is really large. Automobile, let's say, and motor sports and extreme sports, winter sports actually. Let's say football, basketball, volleyball, and as you know, in volleyball, we hosted the championship last year. And every year, you know, WRC is happening. And apart from that, especially federation, as you know, gymnastic championship is going to take place in Mersin. There's going to be Mediterranean games also. As you see, in every province of ours, they have their own features. And in 2021, there's going to be an activity and game for Iznik in Bursa. And apart from that, in 2021, hopefully Konya, there's going to be Islamic countries, there's going to be Islamic games, and we are preparing for it. We will go there in the coming days. And facilities still ongoing in every side of the Turkey. As I just mentioned, Champions League final was in Istanbul, as you know, this year, but we just took it to the 2021 in order for fans to be there. And hopefully the sports lovers are going to be in Istanbul. In every field, we have very big and important infrastructure, and with that vision, we have to take it to the next level, and we always work for increasing the quality. We are not enough. We are not done with what we have. In the quality pillar, in the standards pillar, in every field, we have to go to the next level. And here, as our hotels, brothers and sisters, I would like to thank that, because there is such a reality. Our hotels prices are between 250, 300 euros. But with your contributions, it turns into 3-4 days of package, and actually it sees the prices that it deserves. And hopefully wish we could have these organizations all the time. And there is really big financial expectation right here. As you know much better, sport tourism, the tourist number who come, and when it's compared to other sectors, it's very different actually. Let's say our golf areas, it's another competitiveness actually, especially in Belek, you know. There are so many people, there are so many guests who are coming for golf. In the performance pillar, the establishment that we established, the thesis that we built for sportsmen to develop themselves and improve their skills, it's a really important destination. In the team sports actually, for trainings, for camps, it's a really important destination. And based on the provinces, we are increasing the number of these establishments. There are so many investments that we do in Black Sea, and in order for teams to camp and train, these establishments are going to be conducted and done. There are also studies in Erzurum. Our country's every side, with its sun, with its land, with its beach, it's in heaven actually. I could really say that heaven nation is a really strong perception, is a really strong statement, and we have to be glad to have such country, and working so much, working even harder and sweating even more. We have to show it. Yesterday there was sports economic forum, and I participated in there, and I stated there the football economic was the main subject, and the football is whole another industry actually. And with amateur, with professional, we have so many professional clubs, we have so many talented sportsmen, and there are so many qualities to be discovered, there are so many talents to be discovered, and at the same time we have to make the sport very common. And you know, sport tourism, our idea is really strong, but at the same time, the ones who are, we are trying to create a community who are doing sport at the same time, because individuals how much they're integrated with sport as they regard sport as lifestyle, and they put sport as daily routine. I believe that in order to reach these goals even stronger way, in a stronger manner, we will be very successful, I believe. Dear Minister, actually you stated so many great things, but just a part of it I would like to add. We're discovering the world, as you know, and while we're discovering, we just go to province, we just go to geography, and there is only one sport hall. I'm from Çorum, actually, and I want to thank you as our president. Please just send our thanks to Mr. President. We have so many sports halls in Çorum. And I would like to say that, I would like to reach that in Trabzon, when international organizations happened, we went there, and it was on my site that hamsi, which is a traditional fish, that logo, actually with our own resources and values, with the infrastructure support, we're making our values international actually. Can we say that we globalize it? And of course, yes, the richness that we have right here in every province that we have. Let's say Çorum. Çorum has its own features. Osmancık, they are the distincts of Çorum. They have their own richness. We are a very rich country, actually. They have their own different values. And it's a symbol, actually. If you want to put effort for a symbol from İskimri, these are the distincts. From Osmancık, it's different, actually, right? Well, there has to be some kind of rice in Osmancık, right? Yes. And we have to make these richness. As you know, we have campaign for swimming pools. You said Çorum, the swimming pool in Çorum, we renewed it. We say that everyone has to swim actually. We're doing necessary organization if it needed. If there is no swimming pool, we're building new ones. And as in terms of size, for our districts, we are creating portable swimming pools. Swimming is going to be very basic sport of this country, and we progressed a lot in these 2 years. We said that everyone has to swim since the very beginning that we came into that position, and we see that there is a huge potential right here, as we could see, and we increased it to 1 million. Like despite the pandemic, we're nearly over 1 million men or women, old or young, whoever desires. We just teach how to swim. Swimming pools are in charge for our country, and it's 24/7 actually. We are serving it, and of course, in pandemic there are some restrictions, as you know. Some situations, some conditions are really giving very hard time for us. But with our precautions, taking our precautions and measures, we are still walking towards our goals. In pandemic, none of our investments actually had an incline, and it was actually, we're racing with seconds actually, because on behalf of our country, in order to evaluate this, in order to assess these opportunities, we don't have a second to lose actually, because to work hard and this brotherhood, this solidarity should also be reflected to the sport. And as I mentioned, sport is solidarity, and it's a matter of brotherhood and solidarity. As long as it keeps in that way, there is no obstacle that could stay there, and we have to increase the soul of sport actually. And dear Minister, as you stated before, you mentioned about the same positions. We will make world a better place with sport actually. The outcome and input is the same. This is actually perspective, let's say. And we have to keep it actually, and we have to bring everyone into that topic, let's say. And of course, when we look, the sport is a perception of health. It's a frame that could open to sport. The ones who are doing sport, they get sick less. The ones who are doing sport, they are relieved as mind and as physical, as much as physical. It's also very important for health. For mind is social health actually. It's some tool to socialize. Medical persons, let's say, they're dividing this into physical and mind health. They're defining it as such, and because of that, the healthy community and healthy person, the very first step is sport. And with aside sport, it's a symbol of solidarity. It's a symbol of brotherhood, actually. When you look at the fans, when they're cheered together, when they get sad together, get mad together, it's a matter of solidarity, actually. They share the same values, they share the same excitement, their hearts beat together, actually. This is very meaningful subject, and we have to spread this environment to every field, and as we do that, we will be very powerful, actually. And sport actually means gentle, like being gentle, to clap the ones who are against you, and just spread the goodness. And we have to make the sports soul stronger as a nation, as a community. This is something that we are involved directly because, as they state, this is in our soul, this is in our physique. We have this in our nation, and we have to put this into the next level. And we said volunteers. It's very important for sport tourism, actually, because we are a nation who are really who have hospitality. And with our young people, we have to take this into the next level. This is another goal of ours. And as you know, in tourism, there are so many volunteers who are working and taking part in organization. And in that part, we will increase the quality. And with our volunteer groups, we will just increase the number of it, hopefully. Sir. And I would like to get back to Formula One because my mind is still there. And if I'm not mistaken, in 2013, Tiger Woods just struck a golf ball from intercontinentals. I shared it actually in my social media accounts as it was turning and two pilots were gathering and continuing. As I just thought it might be Photoshop, and when the truth was revealed, it was true actually, especially the feedbacks that we got from abroad. As I want to say that Istanbul is really integrating the continents, and you put a vision, because in that very specific time, who does not want to do anything? You did this as a sport and young minister. How would like you to evaluate it? What kind of feedback that you get? And from now on, in the coming days, new organizations are coming up, of course, but of course, after pandemic, after COVID, our lives going to be back on its own normal. Yes, of course, with our competitiveness that we stated, in every situation, in every time, we are prepared for new conditions and new situations. And in that term, we have to plan new strategies. And because of that, as I just mentioned, the interinstitutions cooperation, as ministers leading it, the institutions cooperation, we have to just make it stronger. And I could say that we really progressed a lot. And as situations change, we will turn these changing situations into opportunity, I believe, both in terms of sectors and both in terms of sports organizations as actors and for our sportsmen. For instance, during this pandemic, our sportsmen trainings and their preparedness and their motivation, both in motivation way and both in mental way, in order them to be supported, we put a great effort for it. And because of that, I believe that it's been a really difficult situation, a hard time for the whole world. But in order to tackle this situation very well, especially for our sport tourism and sport industry and with other elements, we will turn this into a very serious opportunity. And as just mentioned, we did not break in our thesis and our establishments. It's still going on. We're building, we're opening the establishments, the thesis, the organizations as our community and our people. These are for them, actually. And hopefully when pandemic just goes and ends, I invite my whole people to organizations and thesis 724. If he has something to do in morning, that he could come in the evening. The thesis is open actually. It's a policy of open thesis. Well, actually, I'm surprised in a way, and because during pandemic, it's really hard situation, Mr. Minister. Investments are still continuing. And aside, I am really proudful because when we look at the country, there is no such country that tackle this situation such. We are very rare of country. As a tourism, my friend just sending messages to me. Can you ask to minister that, especially from the period that coming up? Of course, can minister say that? What does he forecast? What is he expecting as sports tourism? We have our own brands and we are just accelerating actually. When are we going to see the effects of it? And of course, Mr. Bulut, yes, all together we are following it. This pandemic wave, you know, it sometimes decreases and sometimes it increases, but with our preparedness, since it stopped, for all stakeholders, we are doing it for our own, all stakeholders. No one should even hesitate about it. As I mentioned, all the factors and stakeholders of ours, they have that dynamism actually, and hope that tourism sector is excited also. And in our world, we do not have a chance to decrease or to get demotivated. Our moral is always high. We have to take our steps accordingly as such, because with our excitement, with our belief, with our motivation, we should not compromise from them. Our president, as a leader, is a really symbol and inspiration matter for us, and for that country's opportunities, and with that opportunities, we will utilize them for our very lovely people. And actually, works may not be as they're expected when you look at airports. Many countries just closed, and in order to stand strong and to look tomorrow as strong, in order to be strong, it's very important actually. I see that, and hopefully in that pillar, in that point with vaccination studies and other studies, I hope that they are really giving hope to us, by the way. And at the same time, sectors, tourism sector, as you know, they're leading. They have very serious effect. They really affected very badly, but I still think that the hope exists and people are waiting, as my friends are abroad. They're in Europe and other places in the world. And for Turkey, they come Turkey in every summer. They even come to winter and stay in Istanbul for a couple of days and they leave. There are millions of people like that. And I see their passion about it. And hopefully when this virus just ends, we have to be prepared. We have to do this progress very well, actually. Dear Minister, actually, can we give a message to our tourism investors? As you, Minister, can you really say that obviously after the pandemic, when pandemic is over, we will just accelerate for sport. We're still doing it, but we will accelerate even more. So can you say that the sports organizations and establishments that are going to be included, can we just get a promise from you? Mr. Bulut, it's just not only giving promise actually, as I'm stating, we as young and sports ministry, we did not break actually. Our establishments, our buildings are still on with its own pace. And there is no bigger message than that actually to investors. And from now on, I would like to clap for Mr. Minister actually. Dear Minister, is there something that you'd like to add? We can end the session. I would like to thank that in that extent, in that pillar, we are in the same ship, actually. We are included, we are involved in our sports and young side of the job, but we should have our own sensitiveness, our own same sensitiveness, and hopefully tomorrow's is going to be brighter for our country and for our people, because in that manner we have a strong manner and approach, because these people are really nice. And I hope, and thank you so much, sir, dear distinguished guests, dear people, ladies and gentlemen. Our minister was our guest, and for photo we have guests from abroad. I would like to get you over there for photo. The technical